Hi everyone, this is Tamara, your courtroom companion. If you're new to my channel, welcome. And if you're a faithful follower, welcome back. Glad to have you all here. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about how to handle false accusations against you in court. So that's what today's video is all about. I'm going to give you some strategies on that or some tips. And I'm also going to share with you an example from my own journey of when I was falsely accused of something by my ex-husband and how that all turned out. I'm even going to read you a report of documentation that it was false. So stay tuned until the end because I'm going to talk about that personal story at the end. As always, what I express here is just my own personal journey, my own story, my own feelings, thoughts, and opinions. Please don't take what I say as legal advice or mental health advice. I'm not a therapist. I'm not an attorney. I'm just a normal person here, just sharing my own story in hopes that it will be helpful to you if you're either in court with an attorney or representing yourself. These strategies and tips will help you in either of those cases. And so again, if you need that kind of support from a therapist or an attorney, I would definitely encourage you to do that, find that support. As a reminder, please do hit that subscribe button and the bell notification, and so you'll be notified when I upload my videos. Okay? So let's just jump right in. Whether you're new in the family court system or in any hearing, if you're new to that court system or whether you've been in it for a long time, I think these tips are going to be very helpful to you because inevitably when you go to court, someone is going to be saying something about you that's not true. They're going to be accusing you of something, or maybe it is true, but in this video I'm talking about if you're going to court, likely somebody is trying to accuse you of something that you feel you didn't do or that's false. And so I think these tips will be helpful regardless. Being in court can be very scary, especially if you're new at it. But I've been in the family court system for 8 years and still counting because my ex-husband always finds something to take me to court about, in my opinion. And I've become accustomed to hearing the lies. I've become accustomed to being falsely accused of things. And so during that process, I've learned some things that I think would be helpful to you. So let me tell you what those tips are. Tip number one actually happens before you actually get to the court system, and that is to be prepared with irrefutable proof. And if you haven't checked out my video on how to select the right attorney, you might want to check that out. I'll link it in the cards above because in that video, I talk about how important it is that your attorney dedicate the time necessary to prepare for your case. And they say the devil's in the details, and that is certainly true if you are in court against a narcissist or someone with narcissistic patterns of behavior. They're gonna throw lies and false accusations against you. And so your attorney needs to know all the details of your case backwards and forwards. And so please do check out that video on how to select the right attorney. I give you some tips on that as well. But being prepared before you go into court is actually going to be the first thing that you can do for yourself. I pretty much knew what my ex was going to accuse me of based on his patterns of behavior. I always knew, oh, I better have this because I know he's likely going to say that. And so it just became natural for me to over prepare and to fully prepared for whatever he might throw my way. And so that's tip number one, is just to be fully prepared. Know your facts, know your stories. If something happened a year ago that you're just now going to court for, don't assume you remember every facet. Study like you're studying for an exam, because if you're put on the stand, you're going to have to be able to recall facts. And so, have those facts in your head before you go to court. Narcissists count on people not spending the time to detangle their web of lies. And so being as prepared as possible before you go to court is going to be very, very beneficial to you. Tip number two is to expect and accept that the false accusations and lies are going to come. Knowing that they're going to come will help you to mentally and emotionally prepare for those lies and those false accusations. So just let it roll off your back. If you've got a good attorney, again, selecting the right attorney that I mentioned just a little bit ago is really important, because it doesn't matter what those false accusations are. If your attorney is any good, he or she will be able to clean up the lies. So just mentally prepare that those lies and those false accusations are going to come. Then you're not surprised. Then you can let all the emotion, go before you go into court. I just would go in court just kind of knowing, yeah, I know he's going to say this, and yep, I know he's going to say that, and yep, he's probably going to say that too. And I just took all the sting out of it before I even got to court. So tip number 2 is just expect and accept that those lies are going to happen, those false accusations are going to come. Tip number 3 is to take copious notes while you're in court. Take down everything as much as possible that narcissist is saying about you. And if you haven't seen my video on how to take good notes in court, I'll link that above too, because I provide a template to you in that is something I wish I had created for myself before my battle started, but I created it sort of midway and I was able to use it thereafter. But that template became extremely important as I continued in my journey in family court, because I was able to take all the notes that I needed to, so that during a break or on the next day of court, I would have irrefutable evidence to combat those lies, because I would fully prepare for my court battle. But let's say something happened in court that maybe we didn't pull for that particular hearing. Maybe we pulled it for a later hearing or a prior hearing, but it was brought out in this particular hearing. Well, we would pull it out again, pull out the evidence again. And so taking really good notes is really important when you're in court. So do check that video out if you haven't already, and utilize that template if you can. Tip number 4 is to be completely non-emotional when the accusations come. Don't get involved in the drama. And I really do feel like if you can remain neutral and non-emotional about those false accusations, it actually helps in 2 different ways. It kind of lets the narcissist know you're not fazed by his or her false accusations. That's kind of like a little win, if you will. Like you're not letting that person know that lie got to you. And the second thing it does is it shows the judge that you're not getting involved in the drama, you're not getting involved in all the emotions that are, that the narcissist hopes that you will do. Because what the narcissist hopes is that you will get emotional about that whatever that false accusation is, and then you're showing the judge that you're emotional or filled with drama. So just remain completely non-emotional. It just helps in so many ways, and it actually helps you just kind of stay calm during your testimony. So yeah, just be non-emotional if you can. And tip number 5, I mentioned this a little bit ago, but in relation to another tip, but if your attorney is worth if they're any good, they are going to be able to clean up anything that was falsely said about you. So understanding that your attorney will clean up whatever the other person has said about you, whatever they falsely accused you of, is going to help you tremendously. You can then stay focused on just answering the questions from the other attorney. Just answer the questions, even if they're trying to character assassinate you or whatever they're trying to do. Just answer the questions. And there's I'll link another prior video above on how to testify in court, because I give some other tips in there on how to testify in court. So if you haven't checked that one out, do check that out. I think it'll be helpful to you. But just know that your attorney will clean it up. That was very helpful for me when I was in court, knowing that, I could just relax, and just answer the questions I'm being asked. So now I'm going to share with you a personal story of something I was falsely accused of by my ex-husband. So back in 2018, our son was diagnosed with something, and it's kind of life-changing, and it'll impact the rest of his life. And he wasn't out of the hospital 1 week after this diagnosis before my ex filed a false Child Protective Services CPS report against me, saying I was not taking care of my son's medical needs. I was mortified. I've never been in court for any reason, I've never been in trouble. So to be falsely accused of not being a good mom just hurt me at the core, because I'm a wonderful mom. And so, that was, to me, the worst he could do to me, is falsely accuse me of not taking care of my son. It kind of devastated me inside, but I knew it wasn't true. But the fact is, I had to be investigated, because when you file a report with CPS, they have to follow up. So when I got the call, I was like, I said, "You're who? From where?" I was like, I just couldn't believe it was happening. So she said she wanted to come over and talk to me. I said, come over now if you want. I had nothing to hide. She said she couldn't come over that day, but she could come over the next day. So she came over the next day, and she was just saying that a report was filed, and she told me what was in it. And I said, yep, that's my ex-husband, because he's the only one that knew about my son's diagnosis at that point that could have filed something like that. So I showed her all the medical documentation. I was keeping records. I showed her where I was keeping all the supplies. I showed her all the emails between me and the doctors. Like, I was obviously taking care of our son. And so, so she said, of course, she has to follow up with the doctor. I signed a privacy thing or whatever she needed to do. She said she needed to talk to my son's teachers. And I said, well, that's embarrassing, but okay, if that's what you have to do. I had nothing to hide. So I explained to her that we were in custody, a custody situation, and that I believed he was using this against me to gain custody. So she did her investigation, and she called me one day and she said, obviously, you're taking care of your son's medical needs, and that she would write a report letting, close the case. And I asked her if she could write that report sooner rather than later, because we were going to court, I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 days or something after, about something similar but not directly related. It would be good to have that report in case it does come up. And lo and behold, she got me that report, and he did bring it up again. We were going to record about something else he was stirring up. And so he brought up my son's medical condition again, and he started accusing me again. And so at this time, we were both unrepresented. I didn't have an attorney at this point. And so when I got to speak, I explained to the judge that he filed a false CPS report and that I have the final outcome from the CPS agency. So she asked to see the report. And I'm going to read to you what the report actually says. And it says, the information obtained surrounding your son's recent diagnosis, and it says what it is, the extremely organized system you have implemented, and the open and consistent dialogue with his medical providers appear successful in managing his medical needs. So I was cleared of all of those false accusations. And so, it's one of those things that I will look back on and be embarrassed that I had to go through it, but I was able to show the judge in the moment when it was being brought up again that it was false. And she actually told him in so many words, I don't remember exactly, but this was the sense of it. She said, I need you to stop talking, because these medical records, along with the final report from CPS, contradicts everything that you're saying. So she basically told him to stop talking because she didn't believe him, because the records, there were other medical records that were being shown, but also this false CPS report. And she said, please stop talking. These records and this report are contradicting everything that you're saying. So judges get it. Most of them, not all of them, I want to take that back. Some judges understand what's going on. If you've been in the court system for some time, I believe that the judge will come to learn who the problem actually is. That's my own opinion. So anyway, I hope that was helpful to you in sharing just one of the false accusations against me by my ex-husband and how that turned out. And I hope these tips were helpful to you. Please do check out the other videos I mentioned here in this video. I think they'll be helpful to you in your journey. And as always, if you have any comments below on other tips, please do share them. Our community would love to learn from each other. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.